Good afternoon, everyone. Merry Christmas. We're almost there. One more final, huh? All right, well, let's talk about how you're going to go about studying those chapters and what that looks like for chapters 16, 17, 18, and 19. So let's just call this our tip sheet. So I'm going to give you a few tips, and I would pay extra close attention and review the things that I go over in this section. All right, let's start with chapter 16. Chapter 16, you got three major categories. Let's start with the scientific revolution. Make sure you review these things. Review your study guides. Review especially these documents that we went over 16.1 through 16.8. And then in the scientific revolution, so there's 16.1 to 16.8. Review these documents and how we summarize them. Make sure you understand Bacon and his importance. How new ideas of scientific rev versus old ideas of the church / we talked about Aristotelian ideas. So a lot of ideas came from Aristotle and the church adopted them. So what do the new ideas versus the old ideas look like? Make sure you understand Newton and his importance. Newton and his importance. Okay, let's talk about the agricultural revolution. So first you get the scientific revolution, then ideas in science help lead the way to the agricultural revolution. Make sure you understand the enclosure movement in England, and how this leads, and how the agricultural revolution leads to a population boom. Alright, that brings us to ideas related to humans, the Enlightenment. So you apply the laws of nature to the laws of humans. We get the laws of human nature. Again, make sure you review documents 16.1 to 16.8. I really like the ideas of Immanuel Kant in his work, What is Enlightenment? Something not in there, but you might want to understand, is the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, and its future impact on things like the French Revolution, on things like the Third Estate, when they lock themselves out of the assembly, or when they're locked out of the National Assembly, and then they go and they sign the tennis court oath, declare themselves the true representatives of the people. Another really important document, Joseph II. It's a document that talks about the treatment of Jews within Austria. I can't remember what that one's called. Specifically, 16.8. That's 0.7.8. Proclamation of Religious Toleration by Joseph II of Austria. Make sure you understand what this is talking about here. Let's see. What else? Review your tests, review your quizzes for chapter 16. That'll be very helpful. All right, let's talk about chapter 17 and 18, the social world. All right, chapter 17 and 18, we're talking about European society, 1650 to 1800. A couple things to note. Remember, most people are illiterate still. People who are literate, as far as the wealthy and highly educated, which were the wealthy. Most people are not educated. There's no public school system. Churches lead the way in establishing education, especially for the poor and the vulnerable. Medical advances, right? There are hardly any. Basically, non-existent. Even though new ideas in the scientific revolution are changing a lot of things. It doesn't, how do you spell that word? Non-existent, there we go. It doesn't extend to the medical world yet. It's not until the 19th and 20th centuries when we really start to see advancements in medicine. But there is one major exception, the smallpox vaccine. And I'll let you figure out who that is credited to, although it was discovered years earlier in the early 1700s by a woman. A man takes credit for it. But that's essentially the only real serious medical advancement in the 18th century. And it doesn't happen until the late 18th century, like the 1790s. What else do you need to know? Well, let's see here. Well, review this test. Okay, so chapter 17 and 18 test, your most recent test. There's going to be primary sources that are pulled that are not the same as these, but will get at similar ideas. And let's talk about chapter 19, and then I'll come back and, if I need to, talk about a couple things more. Chapter 19, we're talking about the French Revolution. Definitely review mind map for causes of the revolution. Understand how the first, second, and third estate work and are organized. That was the big mind map. That was a major cause of the French Revolution. Focus on events. Focus on events from your quizzes. For instance, make sure you're familiar with the Women's March on Versailles and the crazy bread women stormed the palace. Make sure you're also familiar with the storming of the Bastille, and that's important. And I got a phone call. Hold on. All right, I'm back. The storming of the Bastille, the Estates General meeting that Louis is forced to call, and we'll leave it at that. All right. Let me go back here. Think if I would like to highlight anything else. Review your quizzes and tests. Review your study guides. Review your lectures. Review Amy's Quizlet key dates. That will be helpful. Absolutism. Make sure you review this quiz, chapter 15, reading review quiz. Review your chart that you made that helps you distinguish the different groups. I don't have it in here, but you have a chart for chapter 15 that separates France, England, Poland, Russia, Austria, and it shows you how they treated the different nobility groups within their country. That's important. Review that. Chapter 14, I covered this. If you came to the review sessions, I covered a lot of this, but I would use I'd be familiar with a couple things. Let me write it down. I'll write it down for you. Chapter 14. All right, make sure you understand these ideas from chapter 14. The Columbian Exchange, named after Columbus, who's sailing for Spain under Queen Isabella I. So Columbian Exchange. And within this, you got the system of the transatlantic slave trade, with this resulting after the Europeans come to the Americas, we get this huge slave trade responsible for the transfer of 10 million slaves across the Atlantic to the American colonies. So be familiar with the transatlantic slave trade. Be familiar with ideas such as mercantilism, and especially the countries who promote this highly. France, beginning with Cardinal I never spell it right, Liu, something like that, / Louis the 13th, but continuing on through the 18th century. So you got mercantilism. Make sure you understand the rise of the Dutch Republic, which we actually focused on in chapter 16, but look at your mind map. Know that. And we're going to stop there, okay? So study these things. Study these things, and then make sure you understand chapters 11, 12, 13. Review tests and quizzes, and you'll do great. All right, I'll be here at 7 tomorrow morning if you'd like to go over things. If you have any questions, I'll be available tonight. And if you would like to study, I'll bet I'll be done with my party at 1:45. So if you're sticking around school and you really would like to review more things with me, I will be willing to and happy to do that. You just have to wait till 1:45, maybe 2, once our Christmas party is over. I'll leave my room open so you can write all over the boards. You can refer to what's on the board right now, which covers the Reformation. And you also can use my overhead projector if you want to watch this video as a group. So I'll leave my overhead projector on, and I'll leave my iPad on my desk. That way you can use YouTube, and that is it. And remember, joy to the world, it's Christmas time. You got one more test. Congratulations. Study hard tonight and go into the Christmas season, the new year, feeling good. That you did your best, you worked hard, and you got a great score on your final exam. All right? It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Wait for it, wait for it. We're almost there. Don't stop my video. I got 25 seconds left on this recorder, and we're almost to the hook. Here it comes. Almost there. We might not get there. I only got 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. We're not going to get there. 3, 2, 1. Have a great day.